Some doctors say it's good for you to take they call it vitamin D from the sun. Yeah, my name is Denise Aniswalu, and it's time for Mind, Body and Soul. Now, I started a conversation last week asking if you knew your blood group and your genotype. Now, someone may ask, why is Denise asking us that kind of question? Is it not blood group? Is it not genotype? But from the responses we got last week, Thursday, I was shocked. I was rather shocked that they were adults, full-grown adults, who are currently working, who do not have an idea of what their blood group and genotype is. In fact, someone sent a message on WhatsApp and said she didn't know her genotype until she was going to get married, and then they did the testing, discovered it, and that was how that relationship came to an end. It was a sad one, but I also emphasized that, it is important, at least, basically. Sometimes you appear at a health institution and they need to fill up some forms, and these are some of the questions they will ask. I think even when you want to register for some things like your driver's license, they will require that you supply that information. And I said, okay, fine. Since a lot of people are yet to know their blood group and then genotype and how to even go about it, how about we bring in a medical professional who can help us dissect and explain some things so we understand very well the importance of knowing these things. I have with me in the studio a doctor. You know, when I was growing up, I wanted to be a doctor. I mean, by now people would have been referring to me as Dr. Denise, but me and my coconut head ran away from medicine, and here I am talking. But Dr. Emmanuel Wobo is one of those persons that said, no, I must be a doctor. And he is here today. He's a consultant hematologist at the University of Port Harcourt Teaching Hospital. Good afternoon to you, Dr. Emmanuel.
Good afternoon, Denise. Good afternoon to the FM.
Nigeria Info, not
Nigeria Info. Good afternoon, Nigeria Info. And then everybody listening to me. Denise, I apologize for that.
Don't worry, you know why I forgive you? I forgive you because you got my name, you got the pronunciation of my name, and this is the first time we are meeting. I mean, I've had to deal with people for years, and till date, they still cannot pronounce my name correctly. So for that, I forgive you. That being said, how do you do? How's your day been?
Thank you so much, my dear. I've been very fine, only that a little bit busy. I'm sorry, I'm mixing up your stations.
Fine. We forgive you.
And also, I apologize for coming in late.
It's alright.
The program would have started at 2 p.m.
Yeah.
Of course, doctors and emergencies. And then emergencies involve life. And you have to sort out that first. And then we come over to discuss. So I still have some emergencies pending on my mind that I just want to sort out immediately after this program. Thank you.
It's all right. We'll let you go in record time so you can go solve those other things. Because, hey, we wouldn't have anybody, suffer because of us. Okay. Let's start from the very beginning. Blood group. What is a blood group? I mean, it sounds like, you should know now, but I don't know. What is a blood group?
Thank you so much. This question has not only been asked by people who cannot read or write, illiterate, but also literate people have asked what is blood group and why is it so important. If I just have to take us back memory lane, initially, blood transfusion usually leads to an adverse effect. Of course, today too it can, but it was more severe than it is now. They were so unsuccessful. And then somebody whose name is Carl, he looked at people's outcome in blood transfusion and did some experiments and concluded that there may be something so-called protein or antigen on the red cells that determine what the group is. For example, grouping is important for identification.
Yeah.
If you are black, it helps us to identify your origin. And then if you have some tribal marks, it also helps us to identify exactly where you are coming from. If you have accent to a particular kind of accent, it also helps to identify, because Indian could have an Indian accent, Ghanaian, Nigerian accent also. It could help. So that the blood grouping was very important for us because it helps us identify proteins, who could donate to who could receive from who. In other words, it tells us the compatibility between two individuals. Compatibility is how compatible are they? It's a common language. Which is relationship enough,
How
and not
the same,
compatible, and same, and all that. So, blood group refers to proteins or substances present on red blood cells that help us to identify those cells. And scientifically, what we call those proteins are antigens. For example, if you have A antigen on your red cells, we say you are of blood group A. If you have B antigens on your red blood cell, we test it in the laboratory and it shows positive, that means you are blood group B. If you have both A and B antigen, you are now blood group AB. Then if you don't have A or B, that means there is nothing there. So like 0, or let's say you are blood group O. That means you don't have A antigen, you don't have B antigen. And then because of the presence of this antigen, it also helps us to know what you have already. Because you have the fluid part of the blood. We call it plasma. The cell part, that's about red cell, white cell, platelet, and all that. So your blood is made up of not just your cells, but also your plasma. So now the plasma now contains an opposite or a corresponding antibody. In other words, if somebody is A blood group, it means two things. The first thing that it means is that the individual has A antigen or A proteins on the red cell. So that's why it's A. The second thing is that that person now have an antibody to B. Now they call it naturally occurring antibody. So if you are blood group A, you have antibody B. If you are blood group B, you have antibody A. If you are now blood group O, that means you don't have any antigen. What it now automatically means, in your plasma you have both antibody A and you have both antibody B. Then if you are AB, blood group AB, that means you will not have antibody A, antibody B. You know, these are just tricks. So what it means is that the antigen that you don't have, you are going to have that antibody. And of course, antigen and antibody will always react and cause problem. So that's why if an individual is blood group A, we cannot give the person blood group B because the person already have antibody B. So when you give the person blood group B, the antibody B in that person will react with the B cell on the person's red cells and then cause destruction. So it's obvious. So it's very important we know what the blood group is, and also very important we be able to deduce the antibodies that are present. You know, these things are crucial and important because in times of emergencies, just like we have in our driver's license, and some people have them in their ID card, official ID card, what their blood group is, because if there's an emergency, it tells us what your blood group is. And it also gives us opportunity to know the blood that can be given to you. Because if we don't know what your blood group is, transfusing you blood without doing appropriate testing will worsen the entire situation.
Okay, pause.
Thank you.
We need to go on a commercial break. When we come back, we'll come to this. And I need you to break down in simple terms. Antibodies, antigens. I'm sure some listeners are confused already, but we'll come back to this accident scenario. Just stay tuned to us. We're 92.3 Nigerian for Still Mind, Body and Soul. And we're looking at the importance of blood group, knowing blood group and HB genotype. Just stay tuned. Dr. Emmanuel was talking about the importance of knowing your blood group as indicated in some of your identification cards like your driver's license and so on, so that if something happens and they need to transfuse blood, they know your blood group and all that. So back to you, Dr. Emmanuel.
Thank you so much, Nigeria Info. And then our listeners, I just want to throw a little more light on what I've been saying. So I mentioned two things. First thing I mentioned was that the antigens, the proteins on top of your red cell determine the group of the red cell.
Okay.
So if they are A cells, they are grouped under A and called blood group A. If they are B cells, they are grouped under B and called blood group B. If they are A and B cells, they are now blood group AB.
So antigens are basically proteins.
Antigens are proteins.
Not the ones we eat, or is it this?
Protein is a class of food.
Yeah.
But most of the things in your body are still proteins.
Whoa.
Not what you eat. Enzymes are proteins, antigens are proteins. But I know somebody's asking, how did this protein come about? You inherit them. They are inherited.
Okay.
Yes. So your father and your mother decides what blood group you have. They are genetically inherited. So immediately you inherit the blood group, it lets you know what group you are and then what can be done. So basically, the blood group cells, that's the cell that you don't have, will not determine the antibodies that you will have. That is just it. So like where I left off before the commercial, I was talking about accident scenes and emergencies. Most times when there are casualties, when there are emergencies, of course the right thing to do is to collect blood from the individual, start testing to know what blood group it is. So because if you don't know the blood group, you cannot transfuse first. So you know what blood group it is, then you begin to provide the appropriate blood. But if you have it spelled out on your ID card, you have it spelled out on some of your documents, driver's license, what your blood group is, you have cut short one step, and the next thing is to just provide the blood while the other essential testing, cross-matching, important things are done. So which is very important. Or if you know your blood group, it gives us also an opportunity to know, okay, who can donate for this person, who cannot donate for this person. So knowledge of a blood group is very important. So if you are listening to me and you don't know your blood group, it's very important. You know what your blood group is.
Okay, so you mentioned antigens and you've explained that they are proteins. Then you mentioned antibodies.
Yes.
So what are antibodies?
Good. Now, antibodies are proteins that are produced in response to the presence of an antigen. In other words, it's just like a reaction.
Okay.
Following a given action.
Okay.
Now there are different types of these antibodies. You have immune in the sense that you were exposed to something which led to the development of that antibody. Then you have naturally occurring. You weren't necessarily exposed to something to develop that antibody. For example, for the blood group, those who are blood group A, they have antibody B. Now they were not exposed to B to have antibody B. Now it's naturally occurring.
Okay.
So it gives us an idea who shouldn't donate for who. So if I say I'm A, that means a B cannot donate for me because I have naturally occurring antibody B. And if I receive B cells, there will be a reaction. So it gives us line who could donate. So just like blood group O, so nothing. So it can donate. So that's why they call it universal donor. So it can donate to anybody because they don't have antigens that will react with antibodies in those that they're going to give it to.
Okay, so now I would like for you at this juncture to itemize the number of blood groups they are, and then when you're done with that, then let's look at who can donate to who can receive from who as well.
Okay, let's start with systems. So the blood groups are basically in systems.
Okay.
There are several blood grouping systems, but that which is familiar with us, that's talking about general population, is the ABO blood grouping system and the RH, they call it rhesus blood grouping system. So there are over 370 something blood grouping system, but these two is important for every individual. So you have to know what your blood group is in the ABO system and what the grouping is or what the type is in the RH system rhesus. So you know that when somebody say I am A positive, the person is saying that for the ABO system I'm A, for the RH or rhesus system I'm positive. Because for the RH system, you are either positive or negative.
Where is the RH system?
The RH system is still, this system identifies proteins. Proteins, just protein, identify proteins. So the proteins are, the identification is into two. Either you have it or you don't have it. So if you have the D, you are positive. If you don't have the D, you are negative. So if you ask anybody what is their blood group, they tell you the two system at once. So they say I am O positive. So they are telling you that in the ABO system I am O, in the RA system I'm positive. So with that too, we'll be able to tell what your blood group is, and then we'll be able to provide safe blood to some extent for an individual. So those two blood group systems are very important for us in clinical practice. So it's also very important each individual walking around their life knows what their ABO RH blood group system is. So is it A positive, B positive, ABO, and all that, what it is.
Okay, so I said, which one? A, I know you've mentioned A, you've mentioned B.
Yes.
Then there is the AB.
Yes.
Then there is O. Okay, so there's A positive and A negative.
A negative. Then you have A positive. You're very smart. I like that. Yeah, that's very good. So there's A positive. There's A negative.
Okay.
There's B positive. There's B negative. There's O positive. There's O negative.
Okay.
There's AB positive. There's AB negative. So for every group you have positive, you have negative. It just tells you for the ABO system what they have. For the RA system, the positive or negative, do they have the D antigen or not? So with that, we'll be able to tell what the blood group. And it's also very important for us in who we donate for who. Just as I was trying to explain antibodies, naturally occurring antibodies, just as I have mentioned, if I am A can give me, we are group identical. First, A can donate for me. Another group that can donate for me is the O. Why? Because the O don't have any antigen on the cells that can react with the A cells. So if I am B can donate for me, O can donate for me. If I am AB, that is serious. Only AB can do that donation for me. If I am O, that means only O, because the O don't have the antigen, but he has the corresponding antibodies. So if A gives me, there may be a reaction. If B gives me, there may be a reaction. If AB gives me, so O is for O. Did you get that? O is for O. But the AB can receive from anybody, because the AB has the A and A cells. Has
the A can receive from A.
Yes.
I can receive from B.
No.
Okay, just
A can receive from A.
Okay.
A can receive from O.
Okay.
B can receive from B.
Okay.
B can receive from O. O can only receive from O. AB can receive from everybody. So we have universal recipient, AB. Universal donor, O. Is it new knowledge?
It's right now I'm feeling proud of myself. So now I can just sit there and say, excuse me, I'm O. Don't mind how you talk to me. I'm a universal donor. But it is when it will choke me now, and I'm looking for AB to give me an O. They'll just say, excuse me, I'm AB.
You have to get an O for yourself.
Hey. So now, with donation, the rhesus factor does not come in play.
Good. So I've just discussed the RA system. The next is now the rhesus system or the RA system. Now for the RA system, it is better that positive go for positive, negative for negative, or negative can give positive but positive cannot give negative.
These are the issues.
Now you see, I can explain something to you now. Okay. Now you from what I explained to you in the ABO system, I talked about naturally occurring and immune occurring antibodies. So in the ABO system, you have an antibody in you that was not due to the exposure to an antigen. But in the RA system, you will develop an antibody when you have received that antigen. Now, that's very important. There's what they call hemolytic disease of the newborn and fetus. Many people would have come across this, but they may not know. Now, if you are a woman and your blood group is negative, either A negative, B negative, O negative, AB negative. If you are married, if your husband or partner, so to speak, or the father of the baby you are carrying is not negative, your pregnancy has to be managed in a tertiary. When I mean tertiary, you can't go to a primary health care center. It can be managed in a secondary, but in a tertiary health care center where you have gynecologists and hematologists. Now, the reason is clear cut. Let's say the father is positive, the mother is negative. Let's say first pregnancy. There is communication between the mother and the baby. Some of the blood of the baby can leak to the mother. Now, if the baby, because the baby could have the blood genotype of the father or the blood genotype of the mother dominant. If the father is positive, Rh positive, and the mother is Rh negative, if the baby now decides, maybe by virtue of random selection, decide to express the antigen of the father, the baby is positive, and that means positive blood cells in the baby will leak into the mother, and when it does, it will sensitize the mother. The mother will begin to produce antibodies against that cell. Now, that in the RH system, that first pregnancy will be free. In the second pregnancy, if the second baby decides for whatever reason to also express the antigen of the father, that is, the second baby is now Rh positive. Now, if the cell of that baby leaks again by communication into the mother have already been sensitized. The mother produces antibodies. Now, these antibodies is against the cells of that baby in the womb. So the antibodies will now cross, because this kind of antibodies, they are IgG. What it means is that they have the ability to cross the placenta. It's not all antibodies, but this particular one will cross the placenta, attack the red cell of the baby. In severe cases, it could lead to death in utero. So you see, so these things they are not rare, they are common. So if you're a woman, you are negative and you marry to that lucky man, if the lucky man is positive, that is not a cause for alarm. It is not a cause for alarm. The situation can be managed. So the only thing is that pregnancy has to be managed where? In a tertiary hospital. So if you are being managed in a primary health care center, so it's managed in a tertiary hospital because of the complications that could follow. And the management, because if you come to a care center where you have hematologists, you have gynecologists, will be able to know what to do, and the babies will be born live and things will be fine.
So if I deduce everything you are saying, there's a huge possibility that some miscarriages some pregnant women suffer is as a result of this communication.
Yes, of course, because the moment you come for antenatal, one of the tests, the earliest test you will do is blood group. The moment you do your blood group is negative, we request for the blood group of the father of the baby. If the blood of the father of the baby is negative, we clap. We are fine. We are good. Although we will still progress to do some testing, but we are on a safe ground. So, but if the genotype of the father or the blood group of the father is positive for the RH system, will initiate a process of management for that pregnancy to be sure that we have a delivery of the baby and the mother at the end of the day. So if you are negative, it is
Dr.
not cause for
Emmanuel,
fear.
I'm glad you are saying this now, because so many women have been labeled Obanje. They have been labeled what. A lot of people have seen some of these miscarriages as spiritual attacks. And while I do not, I won't sit here and say, oh, it's not possible it's a spiritual attack or something. Or it's not possible that it's the lifestyle of the mother or something must have caused it. At least there's medical explanation now to why some women may experience miscarriages. So husbands and mother-in-laws, it's not...
Yes, of course, because I my advice for people is that the moment you have a bad obstetrics history, what that actually terminology just means that your pregnancy don't have favorable outcome. You should consult a obstetrician, because there could be 1 million causes of why somebody could have an intrauterine fetal, the baby dying in the womb, or maybe coming out to malformation, or
it could also cause...
No, this particular one, which we're talking, may not come with malformation, but I'm talking about general situation where somebody could have a bad obstetric history. The person has to consult a gynecologist or obstetrician to know what is the outcome. Of course, people could term it whatever, but certain things have explanation.
Okay, now how does someone know their blood group? So we can move on to HB genotype, and then
the way to know your blood group is not by looking at you on the face. They know to know your blood group by testing. You know, most people had opportunities to know their blood group. If you ever went to secondary school, if you ever attended university, you would have had that opportunity, because that's part of your screening test. If you have been employed in a very good organization, you should also have had opportunity of knowing your blood group, because these are pre-employment investigations that we do. So as at that time, but you know, people want to cut corners. I don't have the money. I don't have the time.
How much is it even?
Yeah, that is less than 1,000 naira.
Wow, less than 1,000.
So less than $2, you know what your blood group is. So it is.
How long does this test take?
In 30 minutes or 1 hour maximum, because some people might want to do some testing, washing, tube analysis, and all that. So 1 hour, that's
and you get your result.
Yes. So if you have children who are going to secondary school, do the test. If you have children entering university, please don't just write anything. Don't meet somebody. Write it for me. Sign it. Do the test, because that could just be the opportunity to know what the blood group is. So those are wonderful opportunities. Or sometimes people do free medical outreaches, they do blood group, or you can walk into any health center, any laboratory, and they can do your blood group for you, and you know what your blood group is. It will save you a lot.
1 hour, less than 1,000 naira.
You can do that.
Okay. What are some misconceptions around blood groups and donations that you have come across as a professional in the field?
Okay, thank you. Now, when I talk about misconception about blood group, people feel that some blood group are superior to others. There is no superior blood group. So you have your own blood group because of your inheritance from your parents. And you cannot
say... And it could be either from the father or the mother.
Or the mother.
Okay.
Or expression of both.
Okay.
One could dominate, the other one could be recessive or manifest. So whatever blood group you have is not superior to another. So whatever blood group you have, you should be proud of it. If you are negative, that is even wonderful, because negative blood group rare. Of course. So in fact, sometimes we say they should price it more. they should value them more. But whatever blood group you have, that's it. And then if you don't know your blood group, don't assume. Some people assume it. My brother is O positive, so I'll be O positive. It doesn't. Although it's from the same family, so you know your blood group, that will be fine. And then other people aggregate some blood group to spirits, O negative. Just as you mentioned, because of the things that follow, they say it could be this, could be that. So as I told you, these things are scientifically explained.
Okay, so I'm looking at the time now, and we have barely 13 minutes to delve into the HB genotype. I want us to rush this genotype on. Trust me, I don't want us to rush it. It's better we don't start. We start and finish, or we don't start and not finish, or you may have to come back some other time. 0817-923-0002 0817-923-0003, 0817-923-0007, and 0817-923-0009 is the number to call. WhatsApp and Telegram number is 0809-030-6416. We're supposed to be live on Facebook and Twitter. I can't find it, however, but if you head onto our Facebook page and you see us live, you can also drop your comments in the comment section on Facebook, and I'll definitely read them. Good afternoon, Mrs. Waller and Doctor. About this blood group Wahala, in those days, when a woman is betrothed to a man, how were they able to ascertain which blood group suits? Bright from Omok. I think we may have to go to that genotype part from the look of things. Good afternoon, Didi. Good afternoon, Doctor. Please, I want to know if there's anything like BD positive in blood group. Ikechuku from Owerri. Thanks.
Okay. Now, as I mentioned, you have different systems. So you could have the LI system, MN system, P system. You could also have a D system. So for those who do extensive typing, especially outside Nigeria, you could have a myriad of blood group system put together. So somebody could be D, LI, P, B positive.
Okay, let's hear from Elomba from Artillery. Hi, Elomba.
I greet you. I greet you.
Yeah.
I appreciate your teaching. I beg. Okay, thank you very much. But I want to know something about what is the difference between blood group and genotype.
Okay, we'll come to that. We'll come to that. Definitely we'll come to that. Good afternoon, Denise and the guests. I think government should implore all schools, government or private, to add as part of registration details their blood group, ABO and RS, as they give their age, gender, and all other details they routinely ask for. Schools themselves should consider it expedient that they don't complete registration of a pupil or student if that isn't provided, because one day an emergency may occur where they themselves may be the ones to take the child to the hospital before their family or second responders arrive. Guess if the ROH of a woman with a ROH plus baby unfortunately miscarries the baby despite her being managed by a good tertiary hospital, can it also sensitize her and affect future babies? Michael from Ukrika.
Take it again, please.
If the ROH negative woman with an ROH positive baby unfortunately miscarries the baby despite her being managed by a good tertiary hospital, can it also sensitize her and affect future babies? Michael from Ukrika.
Yes, of course, because the moment the woman have had the positive baby and then the woman is negative. Now, scientifically speaking, other tests can be done to determine if the father is homozygote or heterozygote. That's big terminology, because if the father is homozygote for that D, there's a higher chance of that woman becoming sensitized if the baby is the father, from the father, or expresses the father's gene. Then if the father is heterozygote, there's a 50% chance she could or could not be. But the fact that the woman have had a baby that is positive from a positive father and she's negative, there is a high chance of being sensitized. Now, what we do in the hospital is that irrespective of the outcome of that pregnancy, within 72 hours of that delivery, alive or not alive, some medications are given. And those medications will help to reduce adverse effect or event in the subsequent pregnancy. So being managed by an expert is the best.
Levinus Njoku from HA says, good afternoon, doctor. Could blood transfusion cause a change in genetic behavior of the recipient? For example, if the parents of a child have no criminal tendency, but their child who received blood transfusion from an unknown person from the blood bank suddenly behaves negatively. I think these are some of the misconceptions.
Yes, and these are misconceptions. So, for example, they do heart transplant, they do liver transplant, they do kidney transplant, they do bone marrow transplant. You see, these things, it will not end up leading to the manifestation of the trait of the individual that donated to you. Oh, we should understand that people's trait or personality expression has a lot to do with environment. Two persons can be twin from the same parent, raised in different environment, they'll behave differently. So, but they have the gene. Expression was different. So you understand? So if somebody has a criminal tendency, probably from association, learning, teaching, involvement, environment, but that is not the individual's genetic makeup. So if the individual has to donate blood to me, it has nothing to do that way. And of course, you know that the blood cells have a lifespan. So in 1 to 2 days, it's gone.
Oh wow!
So with the criminal tendency, they be gone in 1 to 2 days. So that's actually a myth.
All right, let's hear from Esther. Hi, Esther. Welcome. Esther's calling from
Yeah,
Riverview.
good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, your guest is doing awesomely well. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
I just want to ask a question because I am O negative and my husband O positive. Of course, everything you analyzed and illustrated, I fall perfectly into it. But the thing is, when I had my first child, before the delivery of the first child, we were instructed to get a Rogan injection because we were managed in a UPTH. Like you said, the person must be managed in a tertiary institution. And then that was given immediately after delivery. But for the second child, was it still needed? Because I was still asked to get Rogan injection for the second child. And some other doctors were saying it wouldn't have been necessary. I didn't understand all of that. But at the end of the day, they still gave me the Rogan injection after the delivery of the second child. In cases like that, what would have resulted to it? Because I wasn't getting clarity on why I was getting the Rogan injection after the second delivery.
Okay.
Thank you very much for that
Thank
question.
you.
Can I answer that question?
Yeah, you can, but someone else asked about Rogan injection. So I want to see how you can answer the two of them at once. This person is saying, please ask the guest why we need to take Rogan injection within 24 hours after delivery. I heard that if the injection is not taken, there will be no further conception. Please throw more light. Zikabella from Wobo. So you can answer the two.
Thank you very much. One of the drug that is used to manage the situation of the prevention or management of HDN, either hemolytic disease of the newborn, is Rogan. Rogan is a drug that you give. Now, what the Rogan does is that the Rogan acts like an antibody. So the Rogan binds to the red cells. It binds to the red cell in the mother, preventing sensitization. It binds, preventing sensitization of the cells coming from the fetus. So if you don't give that Rogan, the cells will bind to the mother and sensitize the mother. So what the Rogan does is that Rogan is like a misleader. So the Rogan just binds and cover up the spaces, telling the cells coming from the fetus there is no space. So the earlier you give the Rogan, the more effective it will be. That's why the Rogan should be given within 72 hours of delivery or any adverse event. Maybe the mother is negative with a positive baby. One of the issues that could lead to sensitization could be a fall. Maybe the mother had a fall, bone trauma, or threatened abortion, or whatever that would, or a procedure. Amniocentesis that is somewhat invasive. So for that reason, you have to give your Rogan, because the Rogan goes there to just tell the cells coming in, there's no space for you here. There's space for you here. So that's why we give Rogan. It helps to prevent sensitization. Then the woman said that
they gave her after the second.
They gave after the SOCA. It's explainable because one, as I told you, one test that would have been done is a genetic testing to know what is the zygosity of the father. Is he homozygous? Is he heterozygote? If the father is homozygous, there is a higher chance. If the father is heterozygote, there is a lower chance. What it means is that the father has two big D homozygous, one big D, one small D heterozygous, which is just medical jargon. But they gave that medication to her just I will use it just as we say in local parlance to be double sure.
Double sure.
Double sure, because you can't compare the life of the baby or the mother with the cost of the Rogan. So it's not a waste.
So someone says, good afternoon, Denise and Dr. Ma. Is blood group and genotype the same? No.
They are not the same.
Can the blood group change over time? That's
a very good question, because there are some diseases that can affect the blood group.
Wow.
For example, somebody could have a disease we call multiple myeloma. Now, multiple myeloma produce some kind of proteins. And now those proteins from that disease, that blood cancer, could bind to the red cell. And when it binds to the red cell, it will now occlude those antigen. So when you test for the blood group, because the antigens, the A antigen or the A site that determine the blood group have been occluded, it will give you a wrong blood group. So you see, so some diseases can affect. For example, if you do a transplant, bone marrow transplant, now at the end of 90 days, the blood group of the recipient will change to the blood group of the donor. So the association blood group could change. So that's why we have to know what the blood group is, do important investigation, certified laboratory to know what your blood group is. So routinely blood group will not just change, but there are situations that can lead to change in blood group.
I think you've explained this. Why would a baby not have the same blood group with the father? So
no, you are not only, the genetic material is not only from you, it's from the mother and from the father. The baby could go to the mother. My baby, my child is B positive, my male child is B positive. The mother is B positive, I'm O positive.
Okay, Dr. Emmanuel Wobo, promise me you'll come back next week Thursday. Let us look at the genotype, because see, I didn't want us to rush this, and it was a good thing. I mean, see how many more minutes we have left. We are done. So if we had tried to chip in the genotype, and I think from the questions I have seen so far, people are, it's not like the blood group is not important, but people are also interested in the genotype compatibility and all of that.
They see.
No,
let me see. We need to keep promises, and that is very important. We need to keep promises. It's not in my own making. Yes, sometimes you could have activities, you could have round, because I'm not. I also have other engagements.
Okay.
So if I will be able to make it, you will hear my voice.
It's okay. Good afternoon. Talking about the cost of running tests, please. You said the cost of running a test is that. Where can I find such a lab that charges that amount? I had wanted to do tests some time back, including Genotype, but the price I was told when I was traded, I was told to pay over to 25k. Since then, I had to put it on hold first, but it's been in my heart.
I mentioned blood grouping. Is blood grouping, not blood genotyping or HB genotyping.
Okay.
So blood grouping is what I said. If you want to do a genotype test, it could be much more than that. If you want to do a HPLC to determine the genotype of the HB genotype, it could be much more than that. So I mentioned blood grouping using anti-sera, using antibody. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Emmanuel Wobo, a consultant hematologist at the University of Port Harcourt Teaching Hospital. This conversation has been eye-opening and very educative, I must say, and we look forward to when we can have you again. We'll just plan for that, and I'll pre-inform the listener so that they can get their questions and their minds ready for that conversation. This brings us to the end of the sunny side today. Hi, Denise, Auntie Jean. Today, when I go out of this place, I'll start talking like a doctor. Have you heard of Auntie Jean? The plasma, I'll not be feeling like I know something.
Dennis, don't prescribe drugs, please. Don't treat. Don't stop it at the radio station here. Here in Nigeria Info, let it just be here. Not outside here, please.
Follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Twitter handle at Nigeria Info PH. Facebook page Nigeria Info 92.3 PH. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at _Denise_Dennis. That's DENISEDNNIS. Follow my Facebook page, Denise Dennis. Follow my Facebook account, Denise Dennis Wallu. I'll be back here on Sunday, 6 p.m. through to 10 p.m. on the Sunday Vibe. Constance is standing in for me tomorrow on the sunny side. Rivers Today comes up at 3, and thereafter Hard Facts with Kaladakoru Batable. Do stay tuned to us. We are Nigerian.